In this video, I'll show you how to create a virtual machine using Oracle VirtualBox. To start, we'll click New, and it gives you the welcome to New Virtual Machine Wizard. Next, we'll give the machine a name, so let's call it My Lab. Alright, you have an option here of selecting the operating system that you will be using to install this VirtualBox. If you notice on the drop down menu, you have Microsoft, Linux, Mac OS, IBM OS 2, and any other operating system that you wish to install. By default, the operating system selects Microsoft Windows, and the version that we're interested in installing is XP. If you notice, there are two versions of XP here. XP represents the 32-bit version, and there's XP, which is a 64-bit version. So we're selecting the 32-bit version, and we'll just do next. Here you'll have to decide the amount of memory that you will be allocating to the machine. For our purposes, we'll be putting this to 1 gig, which is 1024 megabytes. I could have actually done this by just moving the slider right along to 1024, or you could type it in, right? And you do next, and it says it's trying to ask you here about the virtual hard drive that you'll be using. How do you want to do this? If you want to create a new hard drive or use an existing hard drive, for our purposes, we're creating a new hard drive because we don't have an existing hard drive. So we will say next, and we will just leave that at the VirtualBox, this image. Alright, so on creating the new virtual disk option, we'll see different file types that are available to you. In this case, you see the VirtualBox, this image, that you will select this option if you're only going to be using this hard drive within a VirtualBox environment, but for interoperability across VMware or across Microsoft Virtual Machine, you could select the appropriate hard disk. In this case, we're going to do a VMDK file, alright, and we'll choose next. Alright, this screen also depicts or states how the disk will be allocated, whether it will be dynamically allocated as the hard drive space is consumed, or it will be a fixed size. We'll just leave it at dynamically allocated for now. And on this page, you get an option to decide how large you want your hard disk space to be. The default is 10 gigs, and I'll just leave it at 10 gigs. If you will notice, the maximum space is actually 2 terabytes that you could allocate again. And this location points to a location that you want your machine to be created in. Right? I'm just going to browse here, and I'll just verify where it's trying to save this on my machine. So I'll just create it under my C drive, and I'll just call it My Lab, and I'll ensure that that's where I'm saving my virtual machine. Alright, so my virtual machine will actually be saved under my C drive under a directory called My Lab, and the file will be mylab.vmdk. And I do next, and it gives you a summary of everything that you're trying to create, and you will just do create, and it will go through the process of creating your virtual machine. Right, and now, as you can see, your virtual machine is created, and you will see the name of your virtual machine is My Lab. The type of operating system that you will be installing is Windows XP. It tells you how much memory you have allocated, which is 1 gig, which is the same thing as 1024 megabytes. You have a floppy drive, etc., and there's 16 megs allocated for video, and you will see everything that's there and that's available to you. Alright, now it will be time for you to power your virtual machine on and watch it boot. Okay, And now that we have our virtual machine built, is again, we'll just look at the summary. We'll notice that, the name of the machine. One thing I want to draw your attention to is the storage. We have one drive that we have allocated, and this drive will be called MyLab, that VMDK. We can also put an additional drive, because at times we might build our machine and be required to have, two hard drives, probably a C and a D drive. So to do that, you can highlight your virtual machine. As you notice, I just highlighted this virtual machine, and I click in Settings. And if I do so, I could go to Storage, and under Storage, I could actually add an additional hard drive. So on my additional hard drive, I could click Add Hard Drive, and I could say Create a New Disk. And if I create a new disk, again, it gives us the option to select what kind of hard drive we want. So if I wanted to bring this hard drive across from virtual machine to Microsoft Virtual PC, or if I just decide to use it within VirtualBox, I could make the selection that I want. Just like we did the first hard drive, I will select a virtual disk. Alright, and I'll do next. And again, I want it to dynamically allocate the space. And I do next, and it's it's going to give the hard drive a name. I'll just leave it as new hard drive 1, and the size, I'll also specify that to be 10 gigs. Alright, so once we've done with our selection, all we have to do is click and create. And as you notice there, we have created our additional hard drive. So we have one machine, which is MyLab, and that machine has two hard drives. Alright, and you do OK. And you will notice that's reflected here in the storage area of the virtual machine. Alright, so now that we have configured the machine with all the settings that we need, it's time to start the machine up and start loading the operating system. So we have highlighted our machine, which again is MyLab, and to power it on, you could double click, or you could just highlight it and click Start. And once you click Start, you will notice your machine starts to power on. Now, after we have powered on our virtual machine, you will notice that the machine did not boot, and that's because we do not have an operating system installed in the machine. So we can now specify where our operating system is located, and this could be on a CD, or it could be in the form of an ISO file. For this lab, I'm using an ISO file. So what we could do on the virtual machine here on the Device tab, if we go to CD and DVD devices, we could choose the virtual CD and disk file. So if we click there, now we could actually browse our C drive to a location where I have this saved. For our purposes, I've actually saved this in the XP Pro ISO file, and I could extend that, and then we'll go in and choose XP Professional 32-bit. Double click on that, and we'll just need to restart the machine, and it will start booting from the operating system. For the reboot to start, we would just go to Machine and just click on Reset, and you just reset and it will reboot the machine. Notice it found the operating system this time, and it starts going through the installation process. I will not show you, in the essence of time, what we will do, actually we'll just watch the operating system load, and we'll pause the video and come right back once installation is complete. Alright, so as we move through the installation process, you realize that you've gotten to a point where you have to start responding to some installation questions just from XP. Here we will hit enter to continue, and you're reading now through the end user license agreement. You will need to press F8 for agreeing to the end user license agreement. You will notice that both hard drives that we created are actually showing up here, right? So you'll notice that we have this 0 and disk 1. Alright, so within our virtual machine, as we pointed out earlier, we could see both hard drives, and by moving the up and down arrow, you could change to whatever hard drive you want. In this case, I am going to install the operating system on hard drive number 1. Right, so right now we have selected the first drive, and if you notice, it gives you the option to hit enter to install. So that's what we'll do. Alright, we could also choose to install this in a FAT partition or NTFS file partition. Which we'll do is actually NTFS file partition, and we'll just do a quick install, and that is enter, and it will go through the formatting process, and once it goes through the formatting process, it will just start copying the installation files. Alright, and you notice it says checking hard drive C, and it's creating all the folders and files that are necessary to install the operating system right now. Again, I'll pause the video until that's done, then I'll come back. Alright, Windows is booting up for the first time and completing the installation of the operating system. Alright, so now we've gotten to a point of the installation that it's requiring some responses from us. We would just do next, and you just give it a name. In this case, it's My Lab Organization. Next, and it's asking you for a product code. I'll put the product code in, and then I'll come back. I won't show you the product code that I'm using. Alright, so I've entered my license key, and I press enter, and my machine name, I want it to be Lab01, so I'll just change that to Lab01. The password, I'll just leave a blank password for right now, and I just do next. And once you do next, it's asking you to set the time zone. I'm on the East Coast, so I'll select the East Coast, and today is Wednesday, September 21st at 11:39. And you do next, and it will just continue. And once the installation is complete, I'll come right back, and we'll watch our machine boot up for the first time. Alright, you'll notice another pop-up comes up, and it's asking about the network settings. We'll just choose typical and do next. And in our case, we're going to leave it in work group. We do next. Alright, so now our operating system is booting for the first time. So the display settings, you just have to click enter, and it will just do OK, and it will automatically adjust, and you can just watch the operating system boot on up. Once it boots up, we'll be able to log in and start moving around our machine. Now, when you're presented with a screen to identify who will be using the computer at the first time, you will just be able to type your username there, whatever username you want. In my case, I'll just put student. Alright, and you will hit next and finish. And it will apply the settings, and once you apply the setting, it will log you in for the first time. So once you reboot your machine and you have boot up, the computer's completely turned on, you will see your name here. We have used student, that's why there's student there. You will just click on student, and it will log you right in. Well, this concludes this presentation for today. I hope it was informative for you, and I want to thank you for watching.